So for our developmental areas, I wanted to make sure that I made Sarah as real as possible so that you could kind of imagine her as any kid in your classroom. For the daily living and adaptive skills, what Sarah's family was doing was that the skills that are used daily at home and at school are schedules with pictures and times arranged by her desk or on the fridge at home. This helps Sarah with her time management and memory for her steps and directions. A behavior chart is also used and was made in an IEP meeting. It has goals that were found important by Sarah and her mother. The two that they were focusing on now are making friends and neat handwriting. These are kid-friendly goals that are used to explicitly show her improvements in those areas. There are two graphs, and every time Sarah does something that shows growth in either of those areas, making friends or handwriting, teacher gets to fill in, or Sarah could fill in a block or a bubble, however you'd like to do it. But these are kind of help Sarah see her own progression she's making throughout the year and all the advancements she's making. Also, want to note about this is that the communication that's being done between the parents, Sarah, and the teacher, really important in this area, making things consistent. And whenever I go on to talk about interventions, this is important to note because I'm making sure that the schedules and things that are done at home are also being implemented in the classroom and vice versa. In general, though, in this area, for children with FAS, there are multiple different things. If they're a lot younger, you might see them having problems with grasping, doing buttons and zippers, and you might need to be focusing more on adaptive things like getting a bigger pull zip tie for their jacket or using Velcro. Also, making sure you're implementing like Play-Doh to increase handwork and, daily activities outside to exercise those gross motor muscles. You also might think about when it comes to feeding, cutting up their food, giving them extra time to eat, and, giving them different kinds of utensils to feed themselves with. When it comes to family lifestyle resources and priorities, the things you want to think about when coming up with interventions at an IEP meeting or, communicating with parents and teachers are that, what are the main needs of the family? What are the family's goals? And also that every child is different, so every meeting will be different. Any child with FAS depends on where they fall on the spectrum for how you can incorporate and help them. When it comes to implementing interventions given by specialists, there comes that communication point, physical therapist, speech therapist, occupational therapist. They are going to give parents different techniques to help improve and grow their child, but it's up to the parent and also the teachers and whoever else is involved in that child's life to really follow through with those interventions given by those specialists. You need to make sure you are meeting up with them and encourage involvement, any family that is needed. Also, you want to apply any different ideas that might seem to work, give things a try and really keep things open in communication. So for Sarah's family, this is what their ideas look like. Sarah's mother is a single parent who works at a law firm in town. She spends late nights in the office, but Sarah's grandparents take care of her after school until her mother gets home from work around 8. Because her mother is so busy with priority, the improvement of Sarah's ability to follow directions and also to understand others' feelings so she can make more friends is high quality important to her mother. Just because when it comes to social skills, she doesn't want to have her daughter feeling like she doesn't fit in the classroom or that she doesn't have any friends and, can get bullied in school. So Sarah's mother hopes for as little pullouts in the school as possible, and Sarah's mother is so busy and her grandparents take a big helping hand, so they're also included in Sarah's IEP meetings as well. So that's what Sarah's family looks like. You can come up with any sort of meetings, times, transportation, whatever you need to do for any different type of family structure you might come across. Before we start talking about interventions, I just want to say that the biggest thing you can do for a child with FAS or any child at all is modeling. As a teacher, as a parent, you are constantly modeling how you should be acting, how you are feeling, why you're doing what you're doing. Kids are constantly analyzing and questioning it, so it's important that you are modeling appropriately for any area of growth. When it comes to cognitive interventions, you want to make sure you're displaying directions through pictures and words. Repetition is important If you are giving directions, if you are teaching a new subject, learning to count, colors, whatever it might be, repetition is key for them to try and retain what they've learned. You might want to bring up every single day, oh, remember how we learned the colors blue, orange, and yellow on Monday? What were they again? Can we point them out? You might also want to be very specific with anything you say. Instead of saying, oh, we're going to be leaving soon, make sure you grab everything you need for outside. You might want to be like, we're going to leave for outside on the playground in 5 minutes. You need to have your jacket, your coat, or your gloves, your hat, your pants, and your shoes to be ready to go outside. You also want to make sure there's plenty of opportunity for hands-on activities and the ability to move around. When you think about sitting still for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's very hard for those children with FAS. So think about their seating arrangement. How are they seated? How long are they seated for? Are we going to implement any different structures to sit on, like balls or a sit and move pad that they can feel the textiles and roll around on? Think about the importance of movement for children with FAS, and also having set schedules with times. The timing is important to help them with transitions and being able to feel secure in their environment. For fine and gross motor, you want to have plenty of brain breaks that allow for gross motor movement and also finger gyms. When I say brain breaks, that might include some sort of song and dance that they can move their bodies to. It's not a seated activity, it's something to get their blood pumping, their brains have a little bit of a rest time to get ready for the next activity. Whenever I say finger gyms, that means utensils that are going to help strengthen her finger abilities. This is going to help with her handwriting, grasping, doing zippers, buttons, snaps, whatever they might need to do whenever they're getting dressed, opening jars, containers. So things that you can use for finger gyms might be squirt bottles, Play-Doh, stress balls, and things along those lines to get their fingers moving. You might have them do finger activities where they point their finger, flex and curl their fingers 10 times, something to get their hands and their muscles in their hands moving to really strengthen the grip. Speech and communication interventions, you need to make sure you're being direct because they don't really understand abstract talking. You know, if it's raining cats and dogs, what do you think they're going to think of? Cats and dogs falling from the sky. What a scary thought. You want to make sure you're also consistent with the wording that you're using to help with mumbling and articulation of words. You can use songs, poems, and rhymes and visuals to also help with fluency too. You know, singing songs faster, slower, higher, lower might help them with articulation. Poems, rhymes, and really help with the fluency of speaking. And visuals are going to help too when it comes to communicating what they might need to be doing or help remind them what they need to do. Social and emotional practice, turn taking, validating emotions, verbalizing emotions, use a schedule, give transition warnings. Those are two very important things when it comes to the social and emotional well-being of a child feeling secure in their environment, and give them time to cool down. You need to also display options around the classroom to help them problem solve. A lot of teachers use Kelso's choices, and you might want like a little personal chart that they can carry around in their pocket that they can always look at as an option. When it comes to validating emotions and verbalizing emotions, this really comes in handy when you're modeling behavior. If you, as yourself, are upset, you can tell them, I'm upset, and see my face, it's scrunched, and this is why I'm upset. I've really had a bad day today, and, you know, explaining what's going on and how you're feeling to really show the children what you're doing and help them relate back to later on or earlier experiences that they might have had. When it comes to the environment, this is really important because it can be very sensitive to certain stimuli. You might want to look at how they're feeling in certain areas. What is the atmosphere like? Or is it really dark in there? Is it really bright in there? Are there lots of colors? Or is it a neutral area? Is there things all over the walls? You know, is there artwork everywhere? You also want to think about the sound of the classroom. Is it really loud? That might be very distracting or hard for a child to focus. You also want to think about incorporating what I call a peace space, so basically just an area where they can take a break and and kind of calm down. This is something that you don't tell them to go and do. This is a choice that they make. You know, if they're feeling really stressed or overwhelmed, they can ask to go to the peace area. They might grab a calming toy that might help them relax and distract themselves until they're ready to come back and talk and communicate with one another. Okay, so that was my presentation. Sorry to do it in two parts. I don't know what happened, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Here are my references, and I hope you were able to take something away. Thank you.